Hello and welcome back to another episode of SPWK TV. My name is Jomar from the Brand Leadership Community, and this episode we are going to be talking about trends and innovations in the Martech community. And with me today I have esteemed gentlemen Peter Meyer from Media and Vlad Flaks from OWOX. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Happy to hear us.
Great to have you. And Peter, your background is really behind the scenes with tag management. Give us a walk through, your career path over the last 10, 15 years.
Ooh, yeah.
Quick walk through.
I come from a developer background, and then I moved into mostly tag management. Back when Google Tag Manager was launched, I worked with the first version there. And now, fast forward, I'm working with implementation of tag management, Google Analytics 4 and stuff like that, everything around that, but also CDP. Right now, Telium CDP, audience stream and event stream stuff. And I do that at Media, a big Nordic magazine publisher in the Nordics.
And that's interesting. It's a company where the web traffic is the product of the organization that they also need to sell, right? So that's super important. And for you, Vlad, OWOX is your baby. You've had a great career of changes and community. Do you want to walk us through your career path?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So as OWOX started many years ago as digital analytics agency, we pivoted to product company in 2016. Now we help companies to bridge the gap between corporate data and spreadsheets. Our product is used by 160,000 users worldwide, and I'm obsessed about how everything related to self-service analytics and data enablement.
Yeah, and you've also had a history with community as well, and the events. Please tell us about that.
Well, it was before OWOX. The reason why I started learning development and software engineering is because I want to launch the website for students and teachers to review each hour, and this was a way, and there's a reason why I started, learning programming languages. It was, 20 years ago.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, it's all about learning, right?
Right.
And if we talk about, we can look at how technology and it's called marketing technology in greater circles. How it's evolved. We've seen the cloud really play a role in that, right? My background now is using WordPress front end, HubSpot for our CMS, and various ticketing companies. Peter, how have you seen the cloud really? If you take almost like a holistic view, it's really changed the way that the technologies we use today are. I mean, they're all cloud-based technologies, right?
Yeah.
But you've also probably worked before the cloud, I'm guessing, with technology as well?
Yes, log file analysis and stuff like that. Yeah.
So it's kind of like something people take for granted now, right, that it's in the cloud,
that's it. You could say you suddenly got Google Analytics, and that was nice, and then everyone used that, and now it's kind of hard to choose because there's a lot to choose from. So that's a good thing that there's a lot of tools to choose from, of course, or between, but then it's also harder to find the one you need, what actually fits your needs instead of just using, for instance, Google something. So a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, again, still looking back a bit, Vlad, the cloud, cloud computing, have you seen that driving, the technology landscape?
Yeah, you're right. Clouds changed a lot, and especially in terms of the time to value. So, and clouds, it's not not all the services are cloud. There are like public clouds, there are private clouds, but it's all about the scaling. It's all about the easiest to roll out. So it's easier than ever to test hypotheses, to test new services.
Yeah, and Peter, you're talking about there's a lot of tools out there, which is great, but also a problem. So integration, how do you see that? Is that's also of integrating these tools together? Is that a problem that you often see in your work workday?
I actually wouldn't say, because there's usually some sort of webhook or something you can use if you're missing a connector somewhere. But I think the challenge is that it's very important to choose what you send where.
Yeah.
So for instance, at Alamedia, we don't send personal data to GA, but you can. We send that to our CDP.
Yeah.
But you need to be careful there, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
To kind of route the stuff the right directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do that in a knowledgeable way, might I say. So it makes sense to have it here because this and that,
Yeah.
and not here because this and that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really where the evolution, probably leading to is a CDP, right? And that's almost, I think, remember back in the days when we had this term DMP, right? So what's your, I suppose at this stage, creating the architectural look of a CDP, if you were to explain to an internal colleague in marketing or having to approve the purchase of a CDP, how would you describe it to someone who doesn't necessarily work with data at the same level?
Yeah, I would say if I say GA again, Google Analytics is very much aggregated data, and it doesn't that much matter who people are. Whereas in the CDP, you can actually know who people are and then have really nice segments based on that you then send to, I don't know, Facebook or whatever you have connections elsewhere. So that you have this kind of combined user profile that you're the only one knowing in your CDP, and then you pick and choose what you need to send to, for instance, I say Facebook, maybe I should say Meta.
Yeah.
And then they only get what they need, as opposed to maybe doing that in a pixel, for instance.
Yeah.
But in a publisher company like where I work now, Alamedia, then that we have also user profiles of people looking at our magazines.
Yeah,
so
subscribers, for example.
Yeah, so it's very much a match there. We know what the normal use of a certain magazine is, and then we kind of have that digitally as well in the CDP. So that's kind of a very optimal tool to have in a company like ours, I would say.
And of course, I promised I wouldn't be talking acronyms here, but customer data platform, as I was pre-briefing you. Now, and Vlad, for yourself, and pivoting into a marketing technology or a technology tool, business intelligence tool. How did you see the need of creating a new product in a space where there are literally thousands of products? What made you see the opportunity there?
So thank you for this question. So first of all, I need to highlight that marketing is just about 30% of use cases covered by our product. We see, all the reports all around organizations in product, finance companies all around. Talking to marketing, there are two trends that I want to highlight. The first one is definitely integration and data ownership. Is not a problem when you have a professional or specialist like you, and data ownership is really challenging because unless company ingest and collect data in their own database or warehouse, they literally cannot deal with this data and rely on it to gather any insights.
So we're talking about the personal data, in terms of owning that.
Right.
Having the consent.
It might be not a personal ones. For instance, ad campaigns. Yeah. If organization runs some ad campaigns on Facebook or Google, they don't own this data unless they extract it and save on their own storage. Because as we know, there are a lot of cases, then services change the API and add some restrictions to add customers' data. So if someone reads, terms and conditions of all those services, they found out that they literally cannot, deal with this data freely. So data ownership is a really, really huge trend here.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we have, privacy, which is a big thing as well. So having control of the data ownership is a big thing. When we talk about the technology, one of the things that's great about our industry and greater areas of brand is the sense of community and Peter, you've been a very active member of the community. Can you give us a description of what community has meant for your career and how it is moving forward in your career? And I'll just put one more thing. The very first Measure Camp I went to in London, I was asking you what it was about. I still remember to this day, this is 7 years ago, he said, I won't explain it to you, but you'll only find out about it when you go. And that was, yeah. And then after going, it's like, and now I get it. But I'd love to hear, with your career and the work that you've done, how important has events like Super Week and Measure Camp and Web Analytics Wednesday been for you?
Very important. It means everything to me, more or less, I would say. I'm here because of community. I'm doing what I'm doing now because of community. So I strongly believe that we kind of build each other up, or how you say, we make each other stronger in the community. So it's kind of like you have to give back to the community when you're getting so much, I would say. It's insane, especially here at Super Week, I would say, but Measure Camp is a nice mention. People sharing knowledge that they don't need to share, but they do it because they want to. And all the comments you can get if you present something that people have, yeah, but you should maybe try this, or that's cool, can I talk to you about that later? It means a lot. Networking and also the knowledge itself, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost have trouble putting words on it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
you've expressed it really nicely. And for you, Vlad, you have had that with the events that you've created. What's your feeling and sentiment towards community, especially now putting a product together? I mean, would have you been able to build your company without a community journey?
So I'm biased here. I truly believe in community. And let me put it from this way. Everything that people build and have is because of a teamwork. There is no way to build a cell phones, cars, and everything like that without collaboration. And put into the marketing, everyone have a connectivity challenge to research data schemas and put everything together. So community is a way to share the knowledge, how data is connected, how can we consume it and simplify. This is one of the key reasons why we made our connectors open source, just to share this knowledge and let everyone to make their contribution and get the data from everything that already exists.
Yeah. And I mean, open source has been around for decades of years, right? And again, the cloud is only bringing open source more and more common. Just thoughts from you, Peter, when we talk about open source and being accepted in enterprise. What's your feeling and thoughts on that? Because often IT departments may have an affliction to something that is open source, but then the users of the product who are benefiting from the tool, stand by it and having a support network of a community. Tell me about it, your thoughts on open source in general.
I would say generally I'm a very big fan, but if you move it into something like a big enterprise company, you need to be aware of certain factors. And one thing is, if you use some sort of library or tool that some guy made in his spare time, it might be the best tool ever for the purpose, but you also need to be aware that the guy who made it might change it totally, and then something you use it for will break or something like that. So you kind of need to calculate the risk. Not saying that it will happen, but that's kind of what can happen with open source. But I wouldn't say that a lot of the stuff we're using today would exist without open source. Microsoft and Google and whomever are using open source or making open source as well.
Yeah.
So that's the community thing again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And for you, I mean, you did mention open source. If you could describe what it means for your product.
Yeah, if I may, the risk that someone who made a product change everything and it's ruin your processes. It's not about open source only. for instance, Google Optimize. It was well, it was not a
True.
open source product, right?
True.
At the same time, Google released Google Meridian as open source, right? So for those of you who don't know, it's open source framework for marketing mix modeling, and it's truly open source, Python backed. And so this is a huge shift for community, not to use just the products, but the frameworks, the mindsets, the knowledge that embedded to the code.
Yeah.
So open source is not just about the products; it's about the code and the expertise in this code.
Yeah, and the community around it, right?
Yes,
because it's,
for sure.
So yeah, so that's a thing.
And it's a sad part about open source, because back to yesterday on a bench card, at least half of attendees said that their projects are open source, but unless you have a community that's willing to contribute to your product, it means nothing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So looking forward, I mean, it's how do we see? What are your thoughts on trends? I mean, having great knowledge of the past and working in the present, where do you see, as Peter, where do you see the technology landscape for analytics and marketing heading towards? We've gone from a DMP to C data management platform to customer data platform, right? Now we have AI. We've gone this far and we haven't even mentioned AI yet. So that's fantastic. But where do you see the future of our industry in regards to data and the technology behind it?
That's an interesting question. I think where we are now, people put their data in different buckets. So I talk about putting data in GA4, then it's on a Google server somewhere run by Google and in our CDP, and that's then run by Telium. It's the thing about walled gardens. Is that walled gardens or not? I think what will happen is, I know there's at least talks about that where I work, composability. So for instance, having our CDP composable in regards to having the data on our own servers and having the CDP tap into that or send to that when stuff happens. So kind of, maybe that's maybe a funny answer, but the fact that you own your data, that if it's on your servers, you own it. I think there's a lot of stuff going on about that.
There's a lot more to come, right? When people start valuing the data that they have and realizing they can do a lot more.
But also the fact that you can use all sorts of tools for all sorts of purposes. Yeah. For instance, AI, there's also very much important data on your own servers. But it gets to be more and more important that you are certain that you own the data and it doesn't end up somewhere. Not only in regards to AI, but in regards to whatever you do, you could say.
Yeah.
So still cloud, but your cloud and not some sort of walled garden.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and yourself, Vlad, where do you see, the trends in data and marketing technology and how we use it?
It's a hard topic, especially if a person like me can recall my previous prediction and previous thoughts, and to have some training set of prediction accuracy. So I believe community is definitely a trend. So it's so hard to build mindful products for any organization, including Google. That's why they open source it. So and adoption to AI is keep being a trend, because AI starts with quality of the data, and every organization pushed by KPIs, by their targets, their goals, and in order to implement AI, get all the advantages from it, they need to start with data governance. So that's why community and data governance are key trends from my perspective.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I was talking to Thomas Tuckner, the CEO of Gentis, and to see the shift in mindset from launching the company, that community is so powerful, but it's not something you can put on a spreadsheet of the value. Right?
Oh yeah.
So it really seems like the future of things we've discussed plus people. I think AI will always need people as well, and if we could maybe just to have a last question, deep dive into AI, because this is always something that's hot on everyone's mind. It was very much all about generating graphics, but I think, a year down the track, people are discovering stuff with AI. Peter, have you started using AI, or have you seen it impacting your workplace at all?
Yes, I don't know how much detail I can go into, but what we use it for and what we would like to continue using it for is a helper, a kind of helper. So we have a lot of editorial people. It would then be tools helping them do their work, maybe kind of considered like a, not necessarily junior colleague, but something like that. You get a colleague that can help you with stuff without the company having to hire people.
Yeah.
So
or the other argument is your current people can do more things as well, right? So
research and whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tools for helping the normal employees and not just the IT people in the company.
Yeah. And Vlad, how do you see AI affecting your world of technology with your product and your users?
It's hard nowadays to answer no, right? So the AI is everywhere, and the biggest thing that I see is a hype. So especially businesses and the leaders, business people and leadership team, they overestimate time to value from my perspective, because not every organization is AI ready. And Steve had a great topic the day before yesterday about the importance of processes during AI transformation. So I believe that the biggest impact from AI would be not just AI itself, but company transformation that helps them thinking from the data perspective on a business processes focuses.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Well, it's certainly an exciting future ahead for data and marketing technology, or all kinds of technology behind companies. So thank you again, Peter and Vlad.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jomar from the Brand Leadership Community. Coming up, we also have another episode on innovation and culture using data. We still have a lot more coming today on the last day. Don't forget to follow Super Week on LinkedIn. We will be continuing for the rest of the day, and thanks for joining. We'll see you soon.